Welcome to the first ever episode of Youier, the podcast. Now, quite candidly, this podcast is for members of the Itchy Soul Playground. So, if you're watching this and you're not yet a member of the playground, I would encourage you to go to itchysoul.co to join us. It's pay what you want. There's no reason why, if you're excited to join us, why you shouldn't. So with that caveat out the way, hey everybody, I'm so excited to be here. So maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was having this conversation with God about my frustrations around social media and the fact that really not loving it. I got to be honest, it's noisy. There's a lot of stuff going on. Yes, okay, it's good to be informed, etc. But actually, the angst and the frustration and the less than brilliantness it was leaving me feeling, it just wasn't worth it. And so I was asking God, like, is there a different way to do this? Is there a way that is Youier, as in like me? How can I be doing this? And the answer at the time was share in the playground. The playground can be where you can do community. I thought, okay, great. And as part of that conversation, I started talking to God about the podcast and videos/podcast, because I do enjoy the podcast. And at the same time, I didn't want to be just feeding the machine. And so I wrote down some bits and pieces, they're actually in my notes over here, about what the podcast could include, what it might look like if we did, because my previous podcast, the Faith and Happiness podcast, as some of you know, was birthed as a bit of an invention and a bit of a plaything, and it's been great, it's been good. It then morphed at the start of lockdown into what I was calling the Itchy Soul Live, where I was recording live on Facebook, and then I just it got a bit okay, maybe. So when I sat with God and said, well, actually, if we're going to do this podcast, what's it going to look like? And there's an outline, and so I wrote the outline and then did nothing with it, quite candidly. I was like, okay, we'll just leave it there. And it was this morning, as I was sitting with God and said, okay, so what was the question I wrote down? I like writing questions down. Me with my notebook is the only time really when I'm really very still. And it works out really well because I am nice and quiet. I just asked him, what are you saying? And the answer that came up was the podcast can happen in the playground. It can be part of showing up and sharing with you. And so, that's really exciting. So then we did a list, he and I, of all the tech bits that needed to go into that. And so the fact that you're here listening to this or watching this is testament to that. So it will be released. You are my audience. Playground members are the audience. At the same time, the nudge I got from God was that actually we can put it on YouTube. It can go via iTunes and Spotify and all these other places, because there will be people who can listen or watch the video version. There is a video version, quite candidly, especially for Angela. Hi, Angela, because she doesn't like to listen to podcasts, but she will listen to videos. So that's why there's a video version. That's why there's often been a video version whenever I've done podcasts, because I know you don't like listening to podcasts in the traditional sense, and I don't want you to miss out. So this is being created in a number of different formats. I anticipate, because of the technology that I use to record the podcast, there's no reason why there can't be a video version as well. It doesn't make any difference. The only difference would be that you're going to have to forgive me. I'm going to be looking down at my notes from occasions, and if the dogs start to bark, for example, and I have to pause in order to edit that out, you're going to find the video is going to jump, which you obviously wouldn't hear in an audio version. But leaving those sort of like tiny tech niggly bits aside, there's no reason why we can't do both. At the same time, though, like I say, this podcast, therefore, is for you as members of the playground. And the goal, when I sort of asked God, what was that going to look like? It's partly sharing storytelling. It's partly equipping you, inspiring you. It's about helping you be Youier, the person God created you to be. That's what all of this is about. There'll be some sort of plaything. There'll be stuff that we maybe want to explore and talk about together in the playground. That's why this is for you as a member of the playground. At the same time, some of this work can be done by people on their own. So there might be people who will listen to this or will watch the video version, and they will get something from it even if they're not members of the playground yet. And what I felt God saying was, that's okay, that's fine. So you'll see that this is going to be for you in the playground. The actual content itself is going to go out in other places as well. That's not to say that you're going to see me on Facebook all of a sudden. Ain't going to happen. I will link to the podcast on Facebook so people can find it at least. But having having heard what we share each day, okay, hands up, it might not be every single day either. I don't want to put too many constraints around this or saying what it is, because as I've shared with you before, my thing is about doing this with God. And so I don't know what he's got in mind for this yet. I imagine it's going to be fairly frequently. And the anticipation is that there'll be short episodes, 5 to 10 minutes long. From a tech perspective, that works really well because it means I can set it up as an Alexa flash briefing as well. I glanced over to see if she woke up and she didn't. I have one in the corner over there. So yes, the audio, what you're enjoying right now, will be available over the place. But you, as a member of the playground, get to really dig into this stuff. And what I'm hoping is that it will be a conversation starter. It will maybe give you something to think about, stuff to try. It will prompt conversation. That's what a conversation starter does. It will encourage and help us build community together. That's ultimately the aim behind the Youier podcast. I'm recording this as a sort of an introduction, quite candidly, because you have to have 3 episodes before I can submit it through to iTunes and get that tech part, all of it rolling. But what that's going to look like as we go over the next little while, I don't know yet, but I'm very excited. I love the idea that we can have a podcast for the Itchy Soul Playground. That is really exciting to me. And also, if ever you fancy doing we could do a longer form sort of guest version, just tell me. This can be whatever you want it to be. And equally, if you want to record your own version. So say, for example, we talk about something and then it gives you an idea and you have something to share and you want to create a video and it feels like it would work within this format of the podcast, just let me know. You record the video or the audio, send it over. I can make that piece of it work. This really can be the community's podcast. This doesn't have to be just me talking at you. It's really a conversation starter. So I'm excited. As ever, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to play with this stuff with you, because it really is a joy and a privilege, and I'm really excited to share this with you. And with that said, I'm going to leave you with a plaything, because at the time of recording, it is Sunday afternoon. Looked at the time then, it's 4:00 Sunday afternoon. Thinking about the week ahead, I want to challenge you and encourage you and remind you to think about the language that you are using as you approach the brand new week. Because the way that it is semantics, but the stories that you tell yourself around the week ahead will impact how you feel about what it's going to look like as you step into it. So let me give you an example. The example I often give is how we talk about life. Do you see life as a game, or do you see life as a battle? Do you see life as an adventure, or do you see life as a drudge? Can you see how those different words can actually make you feel? The same is true about the week ahead. And so my challenge for you, or my little plaything for you, is to think about the week that you've got going up. Now, you know what's on your calendar. If you don't, then have a look at it. You know what's going to be going on. At the time of recording this, we are still in lockdown here in the UK. At least I know some parts of Europe are unlocking a little bit. We've unlocked a teeny tiny bit here in Wales. But so even as I'm saying that, I know that your week might look quite different to what it would have looked like this time last year. But that's fine. Sit down with God together and think about how you can describe the week ahead, and ask God to help you. If you find it difficult to wrap it around language that encourages you, ask God to help you. And then share in the playground as well, because as I'm going to keep on reminding you, you do not have to play on your own. You are a part of the community. We're going to do this together, so that together we can equip and inspire and build each other up, so you can be full to the top with God's love, be Youier, and go out there and love on other people and be God's love in this world that so desperately needs it. So that's your challenge if you choose to accept it, your mission if you choose to accept it, in the manner of, not James Bond, Mission Impossible. This message is not going to self-destruct, but I will see you very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.